dust is in my eyes, my blood is on the ground. Quiet little shuffle, and the shuffling of the boots of the coward that shot me down. He turns toward the sunrise, and I hear him softly say, I guess you've met your macho man, as the colors fade to gray.
Howdy, partners. Dust and Blood is a rabble-rousing, rootin'-tootin', bronco-bustin' podcast not suitable for the ears of young'uns. Take a gander at the content warnings and listen with care.
Welcome to Dust and Blood, a narrative play podcast set in the wild, weird fantasy West. I'm Blake, your GM, and our players are Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Zach Parker as Moz Copernicus Pryor, and Gail Parker as Bonesaw. Last time on Dust and Blood, our heroes compared notes with the Bronze Jackal, took care of business in Perdition, and shared stories over dinner at Moz's new settlement. Myra.
Yes.
Ranger Rick has jumped on board and said, I need to talk to you about a revenant. And he starts stalking towards you down the long length of the rail car.
She puts a hand on her rifle and says, why don't we sit down and talk about this?
He gives her a quick look up and down, smiles and says, what do you think you're doing there?
Nothing. Just suggesting we have a seat.
He slides into one of the benches right next to himself, like meaning that Myra's gonna have to come down the length of the car to him.
She does, slowly, cautiously. She's got an eye on his hands and where they're at and where his gun is.
Make a perception check for me.
It is a 22.
Oh, that is very good. You see that as he is sitting there, he has his arms crossed. He has two revolvers at his side, a shotgun over his back. He has his hands crossed, but one of them is in his jacket. With a 22, you do not see what appears to be the shape of a gun where his hand is.
I do not see that.
No.
What an odd way of phrasing that.
What I am specifically saying is if you had rolled between a 15 and a 20, you would have seen the hand in the jacket pocket. With above a 20, you notice that there's not a gun there, too.
I see.
Okay.
That makes more sense. She relaxes a bit. She actually takes her hand off her gun, holds him up, goes to sit down, slides in the booth, leans back and goes, so did you, didn't buy a ticket or just missed the train almost, or what was all that?
No reason to buy a ticket if I don't need to. What are they gonna do, throw me off?
They could, but that's true. What's the point?
Exactly.
What's so crucial you need to talk to me? Sorry for not telling you I was going out of town. I honestly slipped my mind, but...
It's alright, not like you report to me or anything. However, I think we have a bit of business that we might be able to work together on. And he pulls out a newspaper from his jacket.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was had his hand on, and passes it over to you.
She slowly takes it, opens it up, and looks at it.
As you open it up, it says in big letters, the New Mexico Inquirer, 6th zombie attack in 2 weeks, sheriff silent yet again, city in panic.
How about that? 6th zombie attack.
What? No, not that. Don't worry about that. And he pushes that aside and points to another one of the articles on the front page, passing over such interesting titles as Demon Surgeon Claims Third Victim. Seamus Galloway seen leaving the saddle sore.
Ooh.
And points at one that says, Resident slain in mysterious fire.
Oh, she looks up and goes, fire? How long ago?
This article was written, I believe, I picked it up yesterday, so written 2 days ago. According to this, the fire happened a little over 5 days ago. Thing is, did a little asking around. Man who died was a dragonborn that went by the name of Sol Laguna. Turns out he had a bit of a fight with his some of his neighbors.
Okay.
After that fight, seems that blood was still boiling when this fire went up. He was found dead in the fire. Thing is, he didn't exactly burn to death, from what my sources tell me.
You don't say.
Has all the workings of a revenant, and I'd bet anything that we're gonna find something out. What do you say?
Well, I mean, Revenant seems to have gotten its prey. It should be done, shouldn't it?
I think we're seeing the start of the Revenant.
I see. So this man was having issues with his neighbors. What kind of issues?
Don't rightly know at this time. Just know that it was loud enough and long enough that word reached us in perdition about it.
Well, I guess we'll have to find a way to come in contact with it. I guess we'll need a list of names of relatives, people who might be involved in this person's background. We'll need to know where the Revenant's gonna go next. What are you thinking?
That's what I'm not sure about. Way I see it, we have 2 tracks that we can run down, and we have 2 rangers.
Alright.
You want to track down the Revenant, see what you can find out on that end. I can track down this potential target.
Sounds good.
Alright. We'll meet in the middle, work something out, get these 2 together. Have a little face-to-face.
Alright. Does the paper say where this fire happened?
Yes, it happened in the northern section of Albuquerque, the neighborhood known as Arroyo.
Okay. Well, that's perfect. We're heading there. So, we'll check it out when we're there.
Excellent. I'll do what I can. And by this time, the train has started moving, and it's moving at a pretty good clip.
So, guess you're coming to Albuquerque, or...
No, my ride is coming up right around here. And he stands up and looks out, and you see a horse starting to, run up beside.
So extra.
Smooth, motherfucker. Smooth. I like this guy.
I'll see you in Albuquerque in a little bit. If you need to get a hold of me, and he taps his badge.
I'll see you there.
He steps past Myra and starts going up the length of the train to pass all of you all, the rest of you, Moz and Jasper and Bonesaw. He stops next to you all and says, "Keep an eye on Myra."
I assume as soon as we got on the train, Bonesaw grabbed Moz and was like, "Drinks cart, let's find the drinks cart!" So he's been just going from cart to cart looking for that.
There's definitely not a drinks cart. This is a real, just rough ride. There's no drinks cart. This is, to say that this is third class travel would be an upgrade.
So what you're saying is there's no smoking car.
Well, there is a smoking car, but they're all smoking.
Moz is gonna respond to Ranger Rick while looking at Bones scrambling to find some form of liquor and say, "I kinda got my hands full already."
I see that.
Don't worry. I got Myra's back, she's got mine.
All right. And he's going to give you all a bit of a tip of the hat, step out, open the door, so it's just all of a sudden train's going, closes it, and...
Did he?
What?
It was in character. Did he just,
Oh, we're about to roll to see if he just does.
Oh no! Because if he fails, it'll be so sad.
You guys might be about to see him just eat shit.
Come on, Ranger Rick, be the cool dude we know you are.
I am the wind. I am the
No,
night.
I want front row seats to him eating shit.
Go ahead and roll an acrobatics check for him. Okay. You see just a and a little bit of a stumble. Almost, you see his feet drag on the ground a little bit, but he pulls himself up onto the back of the horse. Horse slows down, and you all keep going.
What?
What the hell?
I give him 4 out of 10 sloppy execution.
A ticket to this thing's only like $4.
Now that's just animal cruelty.
Myra just mutters under her breath, show off.
Well, that could have gone a lot worse.
So, do you get training for that sort of shenanigans in your... Bonesaw remembers he's supposed to be keeping a secret and says, you're, you know...
History?
Never mind.
I think that's all Ranger Rick. I think. But, I don't know. Never tried it before. Could be too hard.
Oh, God.
Eating Shit, the sequel.
I think I'll just sit back in this nice, comfy wooden chair and count the splinters in my backside.
Yeah, Myra settles into the booth that everybody else is in, and she looks a little more relieved.
Hey, did anybody bring a deck of cards?
Myra's like, well, I know what I'm doing. She takes her hat and puts it on her face, and she goes to sleep.
Oh, poo-poo, that's no fun. I'm going to sleep away a perfectly good train ride.
Well, based on the banging and the swaying of the train, I may have to quit. That might be a fantasy.
Does Myra share the information with the rest of the group?
Nope.
Oh.
Not even the newspaper?
Did he leave it behind?
He left it behind, yes, with Myra.
Yeah, actually, she doesn't need to be cagey. So she takes the newspaper out and passes it to Bonesaw and goes, Here, you can read this.
Oh, entertainment.
What's the news there, Bones?
It looks like some sort of, zombie attack. That's strange. Is there any more information in that article?
Yes. Honestly, it is very much yellow journalism. It's clearly meaning to, whip up panic.
Ugh, that's Albuquerque for you. It's just very anti-zombie and lots of fear-mongering.
What you do learn as you read it, though, is the most recent zombie attack was a couple of days ago. There have been 2 deaths associated with this, and 4 attacks. Actual people being attacked by what are described as zombies in the article, but it's, once again, with that yellow journalism, it seems that that's a stand-in for undead of some kind. And it does seem like it's only been about 2 weeks since this has happened, and the Silent Sheriff is quoted as saying, "We're following down trails to see what we can find out. There's no need to panic. Albuquerque is as safe from the necromancer as ever."
When it says the necromancer, is that capitalized?
Yes.
Huh.
Bonesaw will read the entire article out loud to everyone.
Okay. The article itself does not have any mention of where the attacks happened, just that they've happened throughout the city. There is a point being made that the Galloways have limited access to the fountain.
We're going to have to be a little bit careful there. Have you ever been to Albuquerque, Jasper?
No, I can't reckon I ever have. You're pretty safe with your get-up and all. But, I ain't never taken to wearing anything to cover up what I am.
Well, I've got some, disguising magic, if you should feel the need. It won't last the whole day, but...
I'm wondering, is there anything else in that there rag that talks about zombie folk?
Bonesaw will skim through real quick.
You see kind of a rag piece on Seamus Galloway that appears to be just straight up paparazzi. Mm-hmm. There's an actual photo in there of a halfling carrying a bottle, just walking away and holding up a hand to block out. There's a review of a new show from the local theater and a full-page advertisement for Marion Gilbert's Woven Dreams that shows a person in a very fine suit. And this article of the Demon Surgeon that appears to be some sort of killer in town.
No other undead folk.
Well, I'll take my chances at first, but I might be taking you up on that there. I mean, I can make myself all shadowy and such, but sometimes that stands out more in a situation in a town.
Just steer clear of the churches if you can.
Yeah, I suppose I should. It looks very thoughtful. All right, well, we'll take it as it comes then.
Yeah. Anybody who wants to roll knowledge checks on any of the pieces of the article, you can roll either knowledge history, knowledge local, or knowledge nobility.
I'd like to know more about this necromancer. If it's capitalized, have we heard of him before? And would that be knowledge nobility?
That would be knowledge history.
Yeah. I, as Gale, remember a few things, but I want to know how much Bonesaw knows about the history of the town.
Well, I barely remember how to spell it.
Woo! 24 from Bonesaw.
A 24?
A 13, a 24. Are those trained or untrained for you guys?
Untrained. But I have a rank in it.
Okay. Oh, so it's trained.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you have a rank in it, then it's trained.
Okay.
Well, I guess I got 3.
Yeah. Okay. Moz, what you know with a 13, from nearly its inception, Albuquerque has faced off against a necromancer. He's been kind of a boogeyman for the town. Supposedly in like the early days of the settlement, he launched an attack on Albuquerque itself, but through the sacred waters of the fountain that's there, and this is all kind of in quotes of like the sacred waters of the fountain, which is La Fuente Sagrada, the necromancer was repelled. And then ever since then, Albuquerque has been a place of like turning back against the undead and is seen as like the first and last bastion against the necromancer's area, the boneyard up to the north.
Yeah.
Bonesaw, you know a couple of other things. You actually know that the necromancer was a Navajo man who was cast out of his tribe, largely due to some of his practices. And part of that involved raising an army of undead to attack Albuquerque. These days, it's not well known. There hasn't been much direct activity from the boneyard coming out, but people go in there very rarely, and it's fairly dangerous to go into the boneyard.
Well, let's just say Albuquerque has a historical reason to be a bit wary of the undead.
To be clear, it was a one-time attack that happened. There hasn't really been a direct threat from the necromancer since.
Mm-hmm. But they tend to use it, I think, a bit like propaganda. Especially given the Galloways have this controlling interest in the fountain.
Yeah. And we were warned to beware of the Galloways trying to take the money we're delivering for protection, weren't we?
Yes, by Sheriff Cat.
Yeah, it might be better if one of you and me, Bonesaw, didn't carry the money.
I can take it.
I mean, perhaps for other reasons, too.
I might have had an ulterior motive
You
there.
don't have to say it.
I think it better be Myra.
But Myra doesn't have my natural charm.
There is
You know that is true. There is that. But I'm scary, so.
Well, this here train is rocking and a rattling like nobody's business. If it don't rattle my teeth out, I think I might be able to get some sleep. I think you had the right idea to begin with there, Myra.
Oh, boring.
I'm telling you, rocks you to sleep.
Y'all may try and grab some sleep. I think Moz is going to spend this time plucking and tuning his fiddle, so good luck with that.
I probably can barely hear you.
we should play a game, or we should prank the other passengers, or, I don't know, steal something.
I asked, does anybody have any cards? I checked my inventory here, and I ain't got no cards on me.
Don't believe I do.
How about we play the silent game?
The
How do you
silent
play
game.
that?
Everybody's quiet, and the first one to speak loses.
Yeah, I'm a dad, and I know that trick.
Nope, sorry, I can't do it.
Myra gives up, and she takes her hat, puts it on her head, and goes, "All right, we'll find something interesting on this bucket of bolts."
All right, well, why don't we just walk the length of the train back and forth and see what we can see?
Yeah, Blake, what do our fellow passengers look like?
Yeah, absolutely. As you look around the train, it seems like most of the people that were on it initially got off. The only people that are in the same car as you right now you see that Knoll family, what appears to be a mother and husband and 2 children, wearing fairly nice clothes. The mother's in a buttoned-up suit, husband's in a longer coat. The children are wearing kind of their Sunday best. The other person has kind of an engineer's look to him. He has a pair of goggles up on his head, very sallow face, appears to be a half-elf, and he is taking down notes in a notebook, wiping his forehead every once in a while, leaving streaks of grease as he works. Beyond that, there's nobody else in this car.
Can I hover behind the engineer and read what he's writing on his notepad over his shoulder?
Yes, what languages do you speak?
I'm imagining this long beak.
And he's tall, isn't he?
Very much so.
This tall, imposing figure just like, "What you doing?"
Common, Orc, Necral, Abyssal, Infernal, Mandarin, and Celestial.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, in that case, you actually can read it.
Ooh.
It's being written in Celestial.
What?
Yes.
Whoa.
What are the chances?
Yeah, you can read as he's writing. Make a just general stealth check for me.
Oh, net 20!
My!
Okay. Yeah.
He is a sneaky motherfucker.
He does not notice this looming figure right behind him as he's writing, just scribbling down. It appears to be notes for the creation of a new type of steam engine. Specifically, as you're looking at it, it's one that requires an arcane core that is creating a load of energy. You get the sense that he's trying to keep his notes secret, which is why he's writing it in Celestial, as very few people can just read Celestial.
What sort of arcane cores are you considering?
God!
See, I have a friend.
He jumps about 5 feet and just throws a fist at you. What's your AC again right now?
17.
17? He hits you square in the solar plexus, like right in the chest.
Oof.
It doesn't hurt at all. It's just a solid thunk. And he says, "What in the hell are you doing?"
What am I?
Doing? Yes, that's what I said.
That's not what you said. You said, "What am I?" That's sort of rude.
He closes his little notebook and sticks a little piece of charcoal that he was writing with in it and says, "I apologize. I'm trying to work on something right now, if you don't mind."
I was just curious about your engine designs.
How do you know? He looks down at his notebook, looks back up. Were you reading my notebook?
No?
He was.
Make a bluff check.
Yes? What?
Make a...
How else would I know to ask about it?
Make a...
Was that a genuine question?
He... make a diplomacy check.
A 7.
I will have you know that what I am working on is of utmost importance to the railways, and I am not going to be sharing it with just some random person. This is what is going to this is what's going to make me a big deal. This is going to solve all of the train issues. You won't have to deal anything like this stupid rattling train that, frankly, if it makes it to Albuquerque, I'll be surprised.
Where did he put the book? Is he still holding it?
Yeah, he is still holding it in his left hand. He has turned such that it is further away from you.
Okay. Well, that sounds really cool. What's your name?
I am, Teak Neshalisa.
Teak Meshalison.
Ness. Why does everybody have an issue with it?
Neshalison?
I don't know why I'm even talking to you.
Well, I'm bored.
Oh, I'm sorry that you are bored. When you had a person come onto the train to talk to your friend, who I'm pretty sure he didn't pay, and then he jumped off.
Well, he's gone now.
He stands up and he throws the book on the seat and just says, "Why are you? All of you are just so odd. What is wrong with you? Why are you talking to me?"
Hey now. You don't need to bring the rest of us into it.
Bonesaw, quit terrorizing the passengers. Come over here. I got something for you.
Ooh. Is his attention more on the others now?
Yes.
I want to absorb the book.
Wow.
Do it.
Like read it or like infuse it with you like goiter style.
While he's lobbing insults at the others, I want to pull out one of my extracts and drink it. I have a spell called Absorbing Touch.
Oh my god.
And I can absorb an object weighing no more than 10 pounds as long as it's not magical. You said he threw it on the seat. I'm just gonna slap my hand down on it while his attention is elsewhere and try to incorporate it into my body.
I'm sorry, this should be called the Cronenberg touch.
This is an audio-only format, so you can't see me just absolutely face-palming right now. Make a sleight of hand check for me.
Nat 20.
That one.
17.
Okay. He has a +2 to his perception check, so he has to roll a 15 or better. I'm rolling this so everybody can see it.
Dun dun dun. That's a 2.
He just rolled a 2.
Let's go. Yes.
You go and slap the book, and it just. And for a moment, there's this question of like, your skin is partially made out of paper and leather as it runs up your shoulder.
Yeah.
Titillating.
And disappears into your jacket as it is now absorbed by you. And he looks back from Myra after Myra chastises him and says, "Look."
Moz is gonna, before you do anything, he's gonna really quickly cast Major Illusion and sort of simulate the book flying out the window and the pages just going everywhere outside the train.
He shouts, no! And he starts running down the train car at full speed, just rushing as fast as he can.
You are the best partner in crime.
And just slams the door open, slams it shut, and is just running down, yelling, Conductor, stop the train! Stop the train!
Oh, how terrible! Perhaps you could jump off after it.
Did I see this magical moment happen, or did Myra miss this?
Roll a perception check, and Moz, roll a stealth check for me.
I'll roll this too.
18.
He's distraught enough that was just a base 10 check to see if he was gonna see it.
Oh
Myra sees everything. Sees everything that just went down. Sees grab, sees the notebook. Y'all just terrorizing this poor engineer for no fucking reason.
Myra's jaw is on the floor, but she respects the hustle. And she doesn't say anything.
You know, Bonesaw, I am envisioning a future where people are flying in fantastic vehicles to the moon and beyond, but because of today, still traveling by rickety, horrible, old, broken-down trains.
Jesus. The things I do for you, Bones.
Bonesaw crosses to Moz and holds out his hand to do like knuckles.
Moz will return it maybe a little bit harder than necessary with his ringed hand.
Oh, wow.
Bonesaw flops down in the chair next to you and just has a long laugh. Oh, that was very fun. Do you think I should give it back? Or just, I could gift it to Stella?
You should absolutely give it back. It's in. You could probably definitely read it and see if there's anything juicy on there, but definitely return that. That poor man looks like he works hard.
I don't think you're gonna get the chance. It seems that he's already jumped ship.
Moz, if he comes back, if you got another spell on you, if that book were to mysteriously fly back in the window...
Then he'd be very suspicious.
I'd pay $1 for that.
We already spun a fiction. Let's just keep quiet and act like we don't know nothing. Now, Bones, before you go and get us into any more trouble, I think I devised a way to entertain you for at least a short while.
Oh, yes?
Moz is going to take 3 silver bullets out of his little satchel bag, and he's going to remove one of the heads from the thing. So now, keep an eye on the one that's missing the bullet. And I think he's going to do a little bit of a sort of dazzling display of flipping the different bullets around his hand, sort of rolling them down his fingers, spreading them across the table, making sure that people can keep track of it, and then eventually he's going to hold all 3 of them in his fist, sort of like a Wolverine claws with all the bullets sticking out. Say, now, which one is it?
Oh, can I taste them?
No.
All right, let's make this interesting. There's 3 bullets, there's 3 of us that ain't Moz.
This is just Bonesaw.
All right.
Oh, that's boring.
No, a wager sounds like fun.
I whisper to Myra, we may have just dodged a proverbial bullet here. Let's see what happens.
If I guess the right one, what do I get?
You want to put a wager down?
Yes.
Let's say $10.
All right. And if I can't guess it, then I pay you $5?
$10 both ways.
But there's 3 bullets.
But you got to watch.
But I know you have magic hands, Moz.
I have a magic fiddle. These hands are nothing but paws.
All right. I want to check your sleeves.
Okay.
Bonesaw will pat down Moz's sleeves.
Yeah, if you wanted to spot any shenanigans, you could roll a perception.
Moz rolled a sleight of hand check.
Yeah.
Ooh, not quite.
Ooh, not
Yeah,
quite.
so you don't know if Moz did anything.
Okay.
Moz, can you whisper to me what you did with it so I can laugh at what's about to happen?
While this patting down is going on, if the train is rounding any kind of a slight bend, I'm going to look around and see if, there's a little dust cloud behind us where somebody has actually jumped off the train.
I hope he didn't jump off, because that's... My alignment is slowly switching.
Yeah, you do not see any dust cloud. It seems like this person just was running down to the other end of the train car.
My alignment has changed from chaotic bastard to lawful bastard.
Got it, Zach. All right.
Okay. Am I guessing 1, 2, or 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the 3rd one.
Moz is gonna slowly pull out the 3rd bullet and say, "Ooh, too slow." And he's gonna flip the bullets around a little bit, and he'll present you the empty bullet You weren't sure if it was the first or the second, or some secret fourth bullet.
Well, as fun as it is to see you, footle around with bullets, we should definitely add that to the show, by the way. I think I'm going to copy some of these notes over so that if I give the notebook back, I can still gift some to Stella.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Bonesaw slides over $10.
Wow.
Pleasure doing business.
Cheetos, I never thought I'd see the day.
They do not mess around when it comes to hustles.
It's the fastest buck Moz has ever made.
And thanks for the backup, Mossy.
Yeah.
We make a good team.
Should have really made that 25.
Myra actually leans in and she says, he said something about the railroads. What is this about?
Well, it looks like he's working on making a certain type of engine that works with arcane cores.
Interesting. If we are the only ones that have this, we could definitely use this maybe as a bartering chip.
Oh, yes, we could make a fortune. Absolute fortune. But unfortunately, you're a little sad that twiggy little fellow lost his note, so...
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not sure it's complete, to be honest. These look
That's fair.
preliminary.
Yeah. Give me a just straight up intelligence check.
Okay. 20.
20.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. I will say you are able to get through most of it, and you can see most of the information is actually not this guy's original research.
Oh.
And in fact, he is attempting to reverse engineer and improve upon a design created by some drow engineers.
Oh. Myra, you don't even have to feel bad on his behalf. This is stolen information.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, screw that guy. Yeah, don't give it back.
The drow apparently are already making arcane cores. He's trying to reverse engineer them.
Well, he did seem a little prissy and uptight. Oh, gee. Yeah, keep the book. I don't feel bad for him.
You see, I've done a good deed today.
Well, you didn't do it with that in mind. Let's be honest about that.
You hear the back door of the train car open up, the loud just train sound as the engineer returns.
Bonesaw shoves the notes in his coat.
He has his goggles up, but you can see his eyes are watering a little bit as he goes back to sit at his seat and say, "Half a year wasted.
Oh, half a year? That's it. Get out of here.
Going to lose my job for this.
Get out of here.
I don't even know what I'm going to do."
Get out of here, son.
Really? Your job?
He's not talking to you guys.
Oh.
He's just going to sit. You can still say this.
Yeah, Bonesaw shoehorning in from across the car. Really? Your job? Who do you work for?
Jeez.
He looks up. I work for the Pacific Union Railroad, doing some work for them. We're hoping to beat out the Diamondbacks on creating a new way to travel, a faster way, but now I'm going to lose my job as I have nothing to present to my superiors. Thought I finally had caught a break. No, of course not. Of course not.
Bonesaw, can I have a little palaver with you here?
Yes, what is it?
Bonesaw, you are an amazing fellow with many admirable qualities.
Oh, well,
But
thank you.
you ain't got the attention span of a mayfly. You ain't gonna do nothing with this book. And we don't care what the drow do with their steam engines. They ain't no competition up here. Let the feller have it. Make a better world for us all. He might even have family. Or children that he has to feed.
Can I tell that Jasper is milking this?
I think everybody can tell, except for Bonesaw can tell that he's milking this.
What about his poor sick wife who needs that money for an operation that he ain't gonna be able to afford now that he has lost his job with the competitors of people that we don't particularly like?
I would like sticking it to the Diamondbacks.
There you go. There's your angle.
All of that other stuff was pretty nice too. In theory.
Moz is probably gonna try and shush Jasper a little bit, but he's going to help him out in the end with the Bones. Well, the book is lost, long gone. With that good memory of yours, knowing that you took a good look at what he got, you sure you can't offer some notes to this poor soul? Some he can hold on to, take a look at it?
I like that as a compromise. Bonesaw will sashay his way down the cart and plop next to this guy and say, "Look, I'm so sorry about your book. That's really unfortunate. A freak accident that happened. But I've got a really good memory, and I was reading over your shoulder for a bit." And he pulls out his copy of the book, as much as he got, even if it was like 70% with like most of it in there. I was just jotting down, some things I remembered to try to get it together for you, because I'm such an upstanding chap and I really wanted to help you out of the goodness of my very large heart. So I hope that this helps you recover some of what you were doing and keep your job and maybe a reward in it.
He immediately grabs it and opens it and says, "My God." And he flips through. I've never been so thankful to have a peeping Tom looking over my shoulder.
I even fixed some of your grammatical errors, with the celestial. That's not really your strong suit, but I suppose it works well enough.
He looks and just kind of gives a shake of the head and says, "Thank you. I don't have much," and he pulls out 50 cents and hands it over to you.
Oh, aren't you a dear? I'll get have a drink with this, thank you.
Now, if you don't mind, I need to review and see if I can make do with anything that is left.
Yes, good luck, old chap.
Thank you.
The Bonesaw will go rejoin the others, tossing the coin in the air and catching it on the way back down.
Your ability to just reap benefit from anything is astounding. It is scary.
I learned from the best. Dear old mum.
All this because you couldn't sit still for 5 minutes.
We were entertained, weren't we?
Mayfly.
Everybody make a perception check for me.
Wow, only 4 more hours to Albuquerque.
By this point, you're probably about half an hour out, and you're getting decently close. In fact, if you look out, you can see you've crested over the top of a hill, and you can actually see in the distance Albuquerque headed down this long slope, and you can feel the train starting to pick up speed as it's going.
Ooh, spent all my good rolls.
That is a nat 1 from Bonesaw. 15, 27, and a 24. Everybody except Bonesaw can hear the squealing of the brakes on this train as it's trying to slow down and not just start barreling down the train tracks. However, as it's squeaking, you hear it ting, ting.
Well, that can't be good.
And you all look out and you see smoke billowing from the train engine. And then you all hear a boom as something gives way in the front car. And even Bonesaw, in his, let's say, distracted state, feels the train beginning to pick up speed. and go faster and faster.
Oh, grand! We should get there much sooner now.
Hey, Mr. Engineer.
He looks up and he looks back.
You got any idea what that might have been?
And he has a horrified look on his face. We may want to abandon the train. You are on the long slope into Albuquerque right now. The train was currently going 60 miles an hour. It is going to be speeding up the longer it is not being actively slowed down. We're going to be going in a semblance of turn order, but you guys can kind of act together and work together. It's more me keeping track of how fast the train is going and things that are happening. From what you could tell, it seemed like something happened at the engine, some sort of explosion at the engine, and the brakes seemed to give out, and you are accelerating. In this train car, you have the engineer and the Knoll family. Back on the train, you have Bonesaw's wagon, and then Myra 2 and Otto are in a stable car in the back with some other horses. You know that there was probably an engineer at the front of the train, and you saw another engineer, a dwarf, who took your tickets initially, but you haven't seen him since you got on.
All right, we got brakes in the caboose, I'm assuming. But if we're accelerating, the train might be able to outpull those brakes. Mr. Engineer, what do you think's happened? What can we do?
It seems that the...
Quick, man!
It seems that there has been some sort of... the brakes have stopped working. We need to get the brakes working again, and if we can figure out a way to slow it down before we hit the Albuquerque train station... I worry that we might jump the tracks if we go faster than... And he starts running calculations and said, 120 miles per hour.
Don't be ridiculous. No human being can travel that fast.
We're about to find out.
So everybody go ahead and roll an initiative for me.
Alrighty.
Shit.
14.
18.
21. 20.
Natural 20 from us.
20.
Nice.
I was about to say that's the highest I've ever gotten, and yeah, that checks out.
Okay. And then the engineer and the Knoll family are acting on 10. The train acts on the 0 round. This won't necessarily be 6 seconds. You'll have a little bit of time to do stuff, but this is more just things that happen as they're going. So first up, Moz, what you got?
So Moz wants to take a better look at the front situation, just figure out, he reasons that if he can somehow turn the engine off, that'll at least stop the acceleration, and then we can work on maybe trying to slow it down if possible, or even if that's necessary, it might just burn out on its own. So he's gonna go probably to the front of the train car and try and get closer to the engine.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Is it possible to move between the train cars?
It is. At the current speed, it is not difficult to jump between train cars.
Okay.
However, if you are going up and around, particularly on the flatbeds, it will start to become more difficult as it speeds up and as wind is whipping around.
Okay.
As of right now, Moz, you will be able to pretty easily get up to the front. You will have to scramble over the coal car.
Okay.
As Moz is running off, Bonesaw says, real quick, hands in! And he drinks the communal spider climb, and the glowing light moves down his arm and onto anyone who touches him.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
100 minutes.
Split 4 ways.
I assume we'll all have spider climb for the duration of this challenge.
Yeah, it's about half an hour for each of us.
Yeah, 25 minutes each. We're good. Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, Moz will throw his hand in, and he'll also have the sheriff on his hand as he puts it in.
Yeah, you don't even need to make the acrobatics check with that. You'll be able to scramble up. You will be able to get all the way to the engineer's hatch. And I'll
Okay.
let you get an assessment of the situation when you get there.
Okay.
As you enter, you can see things are bad. You see the main conductor is laying on the ground, bleeding from a wound in his head. It appears that there was an explosion in the main tank and as you look at it, the engine itself is just fully on fire. It is throwing back sparks. You're honestly surprised that it hasn't caught the coal bin on fire yet.
Okay.
The amount of flames that are coming out of this. And as you approach, you get the sense if you were not fire resistant, you would be taking damage. And it looks like this engineer who was knocked out, he's starting to get cooked, and he's not in good shape.
Moz doesn't have natural fire resistance. He needs to be doing a bardic performance for that.
Then yeah, you're gonna take 2 points of fire damage as you approach.
Okay. Well, with that information, can I cook up a bardic performance?
You cook up a bardic performance and you no longer take damage.
Okay.
Does anybody in your radius not take damage as well, or is it just you?
Yes, everyone within 30 feet.
Okay, perfect. Then the engineer is not on fire, and you see the flames kind of cool down as you approach, but it is still a raging inferno up around the engine. And you get the sense that the heat that is pushing through, you can hear the hissing of steam punching through rivets, and you're fairly certain that whatever initially happened, there's going to be a bigger explosion.
Great.
Oh, it's just my luck.
That's what you do on your first turn.
Okay.
Jasper, you're up.
All right, Jasper is going to be headed for the back door of this car. As he is going, he is pulling his strap for his hat down under his chin and pulling his kerchief up over his mouth and nose. His plan is to make his way to the caboose, but the first thing he's going to do once he's outside is he wants to climb up to the top of the car to get a look and figure out if wind wall might slow the train down if I cast it along the tracks in front, or if entangle has a chance of slowing the train down, or if it might just derail it.
Okay, because you have spider climb, you'll be able to scramble up on top pretty easily. Give me a perception check.
Alrighty. 17, that one.
Nat 1, ooh.
Dang. I'm just going to assume I can't see anything.
Yeah, as you climb up on top, you're immediately just boom, full face of smoke and ash, just like the greasiest cold smoke that you've ever experienced right in your face.
Cinders in my eyes, dang it.
Yeah, unfortunately you cannot see anything.
Alright, well, not going to do it this turn because I think I've used up my time, but my plan from here on is I'm going to cast Long Strider on myself and make my way towards the back of the train as fast as I can.
Okay, you can cast Long Strider on this turn, but you won't be able to move any further.
Okay.
All right, Bonesaw.
I already gave everyone communal spider climb.
Yeah, anywhere you want to move?
Theoretically, if I were to enlarge myself and rage to get lots of strength, would there be a chance in hell that I could just grab the train and, use a leg to try to slow it down against the ground, or would that just rip my leg off? Is there anything I can roll to see if that's a feasible plan?
Roll a medicine check for me.
You mean a heal check?
Yeah, heal check, sorry.
Nat 20!
Natural 20!
Oh!
Nat 20. Okay, you are going to perfectly be able to assess this situation. If you're enlarged, what does your strength become?
Enlarge plus rage mutagen plus zombie rage. 24.
Fuck, that's good. I will say, if you did this, you would be able to prevent the train from gaining any additional speed. However, you would not be able to slow it down any further, and it would be dangerous for you. You would be taking damage, essentially, as you're doing it, because you're slamming your feet into the ground, grabbing at the ground. It's gonna be rough on your body if you do this.
That seems fair.
If I can interject,
Yes.
Bonesaw would hear Moz call from the front. Bones, get your muscles up here. I got an idea.
Alright!
I need you to separate the carts.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I can do that!
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Bonesaw pulls out the adamantine knife we just got.
Oh.
And runs for the separation between the first two cars.
Zombies attack Albuquerque with giant train.
Can I get there and slice in between in this turn?
I will say you won't be able to slice, but you can get there.
Okay.
You get there, you're in between. That is your turn. Myra, what are you doing?
Jasper just ran to the back. Moz says cut the line between the trains. we might be separated, so does she know enough about trains to know that the brakes are in other places other than the back?
You would know that there is an emergency brake in the back, and that's what Jasper's going for.
Okay.
There's, like, the standard brake in the front. Some of the more up-to-date trains would have brakes in each car, but not this one. This is a really crappy train that, frankly, the fact that this is happening isn't surprising at all. And
we were warned.
You know that if you lose the engine, you'll still have access to a set of brakes.
Okay. First, she's gonna go to the Knoll family, and she's gonna say, sit tight right here, I'll be right back. And she's heading to the back, and she's gonna try to grab the horses.
Ooh.
And possibly maybe get the family off the train.
Eat your heart out, Ranger Rick.
I was gonna say, she saw that, and she was like, I'm gonna do you one better, Ranger Rick.
Okay, yeah, I will say you can get into the stable car this turn.
Okay.
And once again, because you guys have spider climb, basically you can move all around the trains without having to make any sort of skill checks. Like, it's just do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Sweet.
You get inside, you see Myra 2 and Otto. Myra 2 is freaking out a little bit, like, not exactly trained for this kind of situation. Otto is just standing there because he's a giant steam creature.
Basically, she wants to take the horses off and have the steam horse follow her up to the front.
I will say you know that right now, the train is going fast enough. It is going at about 60 miles an hour right now.
Okay.
Which is faster than the horses can run. And what I am going to say for all of this, if you jump off the train while it is traveling at speed, you are going to take the amount of fall damage as the speed of the train. So if it's traveling 60 miles per hour, it will be as if you're jumping off of a 60-foot ledge, falling 60 feet.
Oh,
is that like
shit.
a d6 per 10 feet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the horses wouldn't really be able to do that, probably. Okay, so in that case, I think she'll probably just go back to help Jasper figure out the brakes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Then the Knoll family is going to stay where they're at. The mother and father kind of holding. Mother has her arms wrapped around the whole family. The engineer is just freaking the fuck out. Like, he is running around like, we need to get off the train. We can't get off the train. It's going too fast, but we need to get off the train. If we don't get off the train, it's going to explode. If we don't, but we can't get off the train because it's going too fast, so we need to slow it down first, but we can't get to it because it's slowing down. What are we going to do? He's useless.
Yeah.
And with that, it is the train's action. Can somebody please roll 1d6 for me?
I guess Moz will do it because he's up front and next to the engine that's about to explode. 4.
Okay. On a 4, the smoke begins to billow even stronger. Everybody who is outside, which is going to be everybody, I believe, except Myra, because Myra started running directly. I need everybody to make a fortitude save for me.
Oh, thank goodness for my duster of protection or resistance.
Woo!
Not great.
17.
15.
Okay.
Unless it's poison.
It is...
Or disease.
Nope, it is a DC 15 check. So I think it's just Moz that fails.
What's new?
You begin choking and coughing as this smoke just billows out over you and the engineer. You're going to take 1d6 points of damage.
Okay. 5 points.
5
Wonderful.
points. Yeah, you are temporarily... It's going to be hard for you to see. You're not, like, blinded, but everything has concealment from you. So anything you do, if it is, like, an attack, has a 20% chance of failure.
Okay.
All right. That is the first round. Moz, you're up.
Right. I happened to pick up a spell that would be perfect for this situation. It is Virtuoso Performance, which allows me to essentially play 2 bardic performances at the same time.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
So it costs me more rounds to do this, and I'll keep track of that separately. But because I am a fire bard, effectively, I'm currently running Fire Break, which is fire resistance, but I have Song with Fire Gaze, which effectively lets me see through fire and smoke without penalty.
Oh my god, that's perfect!
Yeah, now you no longer are affected by the smoke. Fantastic.
Nice.
Well, you can relax now.
And also everyone who's within my radius is no longer affected by smoke.
Oh.
Can I cast another spell on my turn, or are we moving on?
Let's move on, but depending on how
Okay.
things go, I might give you another go before the end.
Okay.
Jasper.
All right, Jasper has Greater Long Strider on him, which means his running speed is now 40 and his climbing speed is now 30.
Wow.
Yeah, it gives me plus 10 to all other modes. So yeah, he's hightailing it back towards the back end of the train. He is not going to go into the cattle car, though.
Right.
At that point, he is going to climb the ladder to the top, and he is going to work his way to the back of the train on the top like any self-respecting cowboy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
As you run across the top, and once again, because you have Spider Climb, you don't have to make this check.
What a badass.
I will say, because you're taking a full round run to do this, and you have Long Strider,
Okay.
you'll be able to make it to the Caboose by the end of your turn.
Getting too old for this.
Moz, go ahead and take another spell if you want.
Okay. The engineer is in imminent danger, and while Moz is a bit of an asshole, he's not gonna turn away someone who really can't help themselves. So I think he's just going to cast Jester's Jaunt and get the, I'm assuming, unconscious engineer,
Yes, he is unconscious.
essentially within Bonesaw's reach, and just onto the other card.
Okay, yeah, just immediately laying on the ground, just put up, flopping, and then just a small explosion, boom, and he disappears, and Bonesaw, you hear a behind you as the engineer appears behind you in the car.
Oh, is he victim or friend? Did you do that? Should I help him? What's going on here?
He's neither! Just leave him be!
Alright. I'm going to cut this car loose. Can you get back?
Don't worry about me, just cut it!
I always worry about you. Bonesaw cuts it.
You go to start cutting it across. Are you still your normal size? You haven't gotten big yet?
Yeah, I haven't done anything yet. Why, would that help? Because I could do that first.
You probably should, just because the dagger only doesn't do much damage, if I remember correctly.
Fair. If I enlarge myself while I'm inside the cart, will I still be able to get out of it?
No.
In that case, I will activate my rage instead, which will still give me a boost. I'll wait until I'm outside to enlarge myself.
Okay.
Can you remind me, when I go into my rage mutagen, do I automatically have to become Ash, or do I get a choice at this point?
You get a choice at this point.
Okay. Bonesaw will sort of swell, and the lenses in his mask will go red, but he'll cling desperately to his own consciousness and try to force back the other presence within as he grits his teeth and starts hacking at the area in between.
Okay, go ahead and roll an attack. You're gonna hit automatically.
I got another nat 20.
Jesus Christ.
I'm using up my quota for the whole year.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you're gonna do 15 points of damage to this joint. How does Bonesaw actually go about cutting this?
I guess he starts on one side, and at first he kind of like hacks at it a couple of times, and then I think he goes for like a quick sawing motion.
Okay, yeah, as he starts doing it, he realizes that, like, this is less like trying to cut at something, because this is adamantine, and like hacking at it like you would an axe or something to cut through. This is cutting through like butter. The closest thing you have to it is like cutting through meat, despite the fact that this is steel.
Wow.
This is a really cool knife.
Where did you decide to attack? It has this like coupled linkage.
The weakest looking point.
Okay, give me an engineering, knowledge engineering check.
Okay. 12.
You figure the smallest point is probably going to be the weakest point.
Seems legit.
And indeed, you are right. You cut through. And as you do so, the front of the train begins to pull away from you and move faster. With it being decoupled, the back of the train is not going to be accelerating as fast. It's still going to be accelerating because momentum and going downhill, but is no longer being pulled by the train car.
Gotcha.
The train car ahead of it, however, is going to start speeding up at twice the speed. So essentially, the entire train system is currently going 70. It accelerated by 10. It is now going to accelerate by 5, the back part, and the front part is going to accelerate by 20.
All right, Moz,
You got a 15-foot gap to jump.
get your ass over here.
Myra, you're up.
Myra's going to use the rest of her movement to go join Jasper at the back.
Okay.
She's going to start frantically looking for that darn switch.
Okay, give me a perception check.
Should be a big wheel.
Yep.
Big wheel, big wheel, big wheel. Here we go. 31.
With a 31, you actually see
Nice.
the dwarf who was taking notes is laying down, full out asleep.
Nope. She fucking kicks him awake. It's like, excuse you.
Alright, Albuquerque, yeah, hold on. And just continues snoring. But behind his head, you see, with his coat tossed over it, is the giant brake wheel.
She fucking turns it. She doesn't care what happens to that little dwarf that's in the way. She just,
Make a strength check for
she
me.
just fucking turns it.
You wanted to sleep on the train.
Yeah.
That's fair. Actually, you know what? That's 100% true. I do want to sleep on the train.
Yeah, but Myra's not an employee.
17. That is a very good roll. You see it starts to... This has not been oiled in probably 5 years.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You get the sense that it might take a couple of strength checks,
Okay.
with it reducing the difficulty each time that you make a
Okay.
success. So that is a success.
Sweet. Okay, she's grunting.
All right, the gnolls, they actually move further back in the train, and the father picks up the engineer and kind of drags him and is tending to the wounds. The engineer is just freaking out and running around, and he leans out the window at one point and is just yelling, "Help! Help! SOS! SOS!" Which brings us back to the train's turn. The back of the train accelerates to 75. The front of the train is now going 90 after this. Moz, there is now a 10-foot gap between the back of the coal car and where Bonesaw is standing.
Yep.
All right, and then somebody please give me a 1d6 roll.
Yeah.
6 is good, 1 is very bad.
6!
The train seems to hold together for just a minute more, like, without having the strain of everything. It seems like it's not quite going to blow up.
That's ominous.
Okay. Not quite.
Our luck is slowly running out. I can feel it.
The turn is coming.
Moz, you're up.
Hearing Bonesaw's sort of cry of concern, I think he'd turn around, take his hat off, and give a sort of low bow before opening the hatch and jumping into the fire.
Oh, jeez.
What does he see on the inside?
What he sees is a raging inferno. It appears that the coal, it is almost white hot, and he sees the giant steam tank, which is where water is boiled to make the steam up in. It is shaking, and the pressure on the inside of it is straining so hard. It is not a question of if it is going to explode, it is a when is it going to explode. It is going to be a catastrophic bomb.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen like steam explosions.
Not good.
Not good, and especially with all of the metal here, there's going to be shrapnel. It is going to be destructive as hell.
Moz's thinking process is this whole engine runs on flames. And if the flames can be extinguished, then the crisis will essentially be averted because, the mechanisms can't run, the pressure would go down, all that. So Moz is going to essentially target the source of the fire with his pyrotechnic spell, which should dissipate it and turn it into smoke.
Pyrotechnics turns a fire into a burst of blinding fireworks or thick smoke cloud. Fire so large that it exceeds a 20-foot cube only partly extinguished. Okay, this is a large fire. However, it is not bigger than 20 feet. What does it sound like when Moz shoots off this pyrotechnics?
I imagine it would sound like putting like a burning match into water, but on like a massively larger scale, like 1,000 times louder than that. Just a very loud sound as everything sort of just immediately combusts into smoke, effectively.
It is just this immediate, and you all see coming from the front what was initially like this dark smoke cloud. It gets even larger, but in an immediate second of just boom, and it spreads out like 30-40 feet on the sides of the train. However, well, Moz, you can see this. While it is still exceedingly hot in here from the fire that was just there, it is no longer present at all, and you can immediately feel the steam pressure is starting to tick down a little bit.
Yes!
Nice.
Our Firemancer.
Amazing.
What you have done, even if this does at this point explode, which very likely it will, you have probably saved the lives of everybody on this train and potentially a lot of people in Albuquerque, because as you can see, you're starting to pass like a couple of outlying farms. You have saved a lot of people's lives with this.
Just a regular day in the exciting life of Mozzarella Copernicus Pryor.
The bad news is that if it does explode, while it won't be as catastrophic, you are still standing right the fuck next to it.
Oh yeah, no. Next order of business is to get out of Dodge,
Yeah.
but biggest crisis averted.
Jasper.
By the moral calculus of blood and dust, this excuses our next 3 evil acts.
Fuck with an engineer who stole some stuff. Save an entire train of people. Works
It's a
out.
balance.
If you give most of it back, that's a neutral act, Blake.
All right.
All right, Jasper is going to attempt to help Myra with the brake. He says, Myra, I felt a jerk from up front. We might have come uncoupled. Let's do our best here, but if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to try and entangle up the wheels and hope that we stay on the tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to attempt to help her with the brake.
Make a strength check for me.
Alrighty, here comes my awesome strength check. 21! Natural 20!
Nice! Yes! Our luck has not run out yet.
Beefy Jasper. Been working on them arms.
The starting DC for the strength check to turn the brake was 25.
Oh no.
But
Myra reduced it to 20
Oh,
Yes!
with her success. With the nat 20, with Myra and Jasper coming in, it suddenly jerks, and everybody on the train is thrown forward for a second as it... There's this loud screech of metal as the train suddenly starts slowing down rapidly.
yes!
oh my god.
Jasper's got those Aragorn Ranger vibes going this episode.
does.
Sprinting with the wind across the top of the train, leaping down and yanking the brake.
Holy polecats, it worked!
The dwarf flies forward out of his bed and slams into the counter, and you see his nose just starts bleeding, and he says, "What the hell are you doing? Why would you go and throw the damn emergency brake? Now I'm gonna have to go and talk to the Why is it so smoky? What did you do?"
We got a runaway train. Now, help us.
Passengers are gonna need assistance.
Bonesaw.
Bonesaw at the front of the train does not have a front seat view to what's going on inside Moz's head. So, to his mind, Moz is pulling another frickin' suicide attempt. Turns around, bows, the hat, the whole 9 yards, just like last time, in the middle of his fireball, turns around, steps into the engine, even when smoke starts gushing out, Bonesaw thinks that Moz is in mortal peril. And as these cars are separating, he falls down onto all fours. A ripple goes up the back of his spine as it looks like each of the individual vertebrae crack out of place and then back. And suddenly from his back, 6 leathery bat-like wings burst forth.
Whoa!
They have a couple of scraggly feathers hanging from them, but Bonesaw on all fours just like pants for a moment as the wings come out, and he says, "Mozzarella Copernicus Prior, you're not going to die on me today!" And then as the entire train that he's on suddenly stops, with Jasper pulling the brake, and he's launched forward into this gap, the wings catch the air, and he clears the distance and dives inside looking for Moz.
Okay. Oh, shit.
You don't have to worry about fire damage because of Moz's bardic performance.
Or seeing.
You are flying. What is your fly speed with your wings?
60 feet.
You're able to get to the little engineer's area, and you see Moz sitting in a bed of dead coals, still playing the violin as the steam is just hissing all around.
What the fuck are you doing? He just grabs you around the middle and prepares to turn around and fly you out of there.
Well, you don't like my performance?
I thought you were dying!
It's just... I'm saving the day, damn it, let me have this!
Well, you can save the day, and I'll save you. And it all works out.
Deal.
I will say that you two can make your way back and land on the cart. Myra.
Okay, so Corinne would like to know if Myra would know if going to shoot the engine to create a hole in it will either make the thing go kablooey, or will it just relieve pressure and prevent it from exploding to begin with?
I would say that for Myra to know would be a knowledge engineering check.
Okay.
It's going to be a DC of 15.
It's a 19.
That's 19. You know that most likely, if you try to shoot it with the pressure that it's currently under, it would be a catastrophic explosion.
Shit. Okay.
If you shot the tank itself, if you shot some of the, lead-out pipes,
Okay.
that could relieve some of the pressure. Essentially, because obviously the steam has to vent out. That's part of what you see when steam trains go by. Mm-hmm. If you can provide more exits for it, it would be able to start relieving some of the pressure.
Okay. Myra is gonna finally have her on top of the train moment, and she's gonna get on top of the train, and the distance between them is growing quickly.
Yes.
And she's going to take one shot, or as many shots as she can in this turn, to relieve some of the pressure, and then her next following turn she's gonna move closer and take shots.
Okay. I will say she can take a full round attack's worth of attacks.
Okay.
Even with movement, with the way that things are going. At the distance that she is at, she's using her rifle, right?
Yes.
Do you know what the range is on the rifle?
80 feet.
At the back of the train, you're going to be 3 zones out of range.
Shit. Okay. So I guess she'll move first.
Okay.
To get a little closer.
If she's moving close enough to remove 2 of those, I would say she could only make a single attack.
Okay, that's fine.
So still out of range, but only 1 out of range.
Alright. It is a 21 to hit.
Nice.
You all hear a ting as one of the
I didn't think about I didn't think about that. And so if someone were in line of fire, or if the steam got somebody, that's probably not safe.
Yeah, no, fortunately, it appears that you managed to cause a just right minor pressure relief, and pressure is starting to go down.
Okay.
Very cool.
The gnolls are still hunkering and kind of bracing themselves when they got thrown forward. The engineer, he was just pulling his head when the brakes started and just boom, slammed his head into the side of the window frame and just knocked himself out.
Oh.
The train, somebody give me a 1d6 roll again. This is gonna be the last one.
There's a 4.
The smoke continues to go. Everybody who is outside, make another fortitude save for me. Except for Moz and Bonesaw, because you are in your...
Bardic performance.
Yes. I think it's just Myra at this point.
Yeah, because then she's jumping the top.
Yeah.
19.
You are steely-eyed, looking down. You've pulled up a bandana over your nose and mouth so you're not having to deal with any of this inhalation shit.
She's got the full bandit look now.
Yeah. At this point, you see the train continue to pull forward. The cars are slowing down under the effect of the brakes. The train pulls forward, keeps going. It is slowing down due to just it has lost its engine. The engineer had pulled the brake before things went bad, but the force of the full engine versus the brakes was just not going to happen, but you have stopped that, so the brakes are done. It begins to slow down. Give me a 1d100 roll. You're looking for high.
Uh-oh. Ooh! There's a 10.
It's at this point, once it is a good distance out, the train engine explodes. However, due to the actions that Moz took, the fact that it was slowed down just enough, nobody is hurt.
Yay!
Good work, everyone.
Go team!
Oh.
The conductor begins to rouse. The engineer that you all have been harassing wakes up, bleeding from the head. It's just, are we okay? Did we live? I don't know what happened. The dwarf comes forward in a panic with you, Jasper. I assume you're coming forward as well.
Yeah. I want to go check on the passengers.
You're on the outskirts of Albuquerque, but you have made it to Albuquerque in a way.
Hey.
In a Captain Jack Sparrow kind of a way. as the remaining cars kind of like drift into the station, we'll just step on.
Yeah, you that's pretty much like the train cars themselves have stopped. You see the train station fairly close to where you're at. You have arrived in Albuquerque.
It's a big old
and
map.
You have the map. The train cars stop right about at the intersection of the railways, and you all are able to climb off. The engineer that you've been harassing is just yelling at how he should never have trusted the Southern Diamondbacks. They're going to be hearing from his lawyer, yada, yada, yada. The Knoll family comes over and gives you all big thanks. The children in particular come up to you, Moz, and just full-on tackle you.
Oh.
With a hug.
Easy now. Don't touch that.
The mother expresses in kind of broken English, it's clear that it's not her first language, expresses their gratitude for helping keep the family safe, and while they don't have much, you can call on them for whatever help that they can provide while they're in town.
Oh, do they give us names?
Yes, her name is Toriel Stevens.
Toriel! Go, Mom.
And her husband is Santrell Stevens.
Cool.
Moz will nod his head sort of appreciatively at the thanks.
Bonesaw's going to just go into the corner for a minute and try to do some deep breaths and calm down and get out of his rage state and figure out he's pushing on the wings I don't want to go into Albuquerque looking like a freak.
Oh no.
Well, that's a neat trick there, Bones. Where'd you learn to do that?
I don't know where they came from, and I don't know how to make them go away.
Maybe you got some of that magic that can make you look like someone else? Maybe that'll help?
Oh, you're a genius, Mozzie! Yes, let's do that. He'll, in the corner, mix up some things and, adjust his appearance.
You look just like Jesse Blackburn.
Just to look like regular Bonesaw, or to look like someone else?
He'll look like regular Bonesaw.
Okay.
I would like to check on the engineer, not the researcher engineer, but the actual engineer of the real train. What's their condition?
He's a little bit dazzled. He was right there when it flashed, and he wakes up and he kind of explains he was keeping an eye on the pressure, had just added the last shovel of coal, but there was some sort of spark or some sort of pocket in one of the coal pieces, he figures, and when he tossed it in, it popped, exploded. The small explosion was just enough to kind of knock out several of the limiters that were left, and it just cascaded from there. He tried pulling the brake. It didn't work. It caused the steam to overpressure, which popped a rivet out and hit him in the head and knocked him out.
Okay.
All right. I'll give him some water from my canteen. Drink it slow.
Thank you. And he drinks it and it's just, that was... Never want to go through that again. Might have to retire after that one. He looks like a younger fella, like probably in his early 30s, wearing simple clothes. Human, kind of short blonde hair. The dwarf is just freaking out, doing the full customer service of like when they know they've messed up and like, we hope you ride with us again. We apologize for this inconvenience. Here, have some have some tokens
Here's some flight
for
vouchers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, he actually gives you enough vouchers for a couple of rides between here and Perdition.
Well, if
Nice.
anything as exciting as this, then.
But yeah, eventually you get all of your stuff pulled off, and you find yourself standing at the train station.
Can Myra do something real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
She's still sitting on the roof, but she eventually goes to help unload the horses and stuff, but she takes out Myra 3, the Mimic, and she says, okay, so that explosion, I want you to learn how to do that.
What form is it in right now, would you say? I would say it's probably in, like, looking like one of your guns.
Yeah.
And it just, all of a sudden, the cylinder just, like, expands out, like, cheeks puffing up. And then it goes... out the barrel.
She kind of sighs and goes, oh, all right, well, we'll work on it. She desperately teaches this Mimic how to look like a stick of dynamite that's about to go off and then have a fake explosion to use that as a way to scare people off. So it's a work in progress, so... She sighs, puts Myra 3 back in her pocket, and goes to unload the horses in the cart.
Amazing.
You see yourself standing in front of the Telegraph Office. Above the sign, it reads, Snow's Telegraph and Mail. Moz, give me a perception check.
I love being singled out by the DM.
As you all look, you see a catfolk standing there, specifically a hairless catfolk in a big poofy coat.
I love that.
She's leaning against the edge of the door with this look of just complete boredom, like she doesn't really care what's going on. She's watching the group of you. She has a little bit of jewelry. She has her ears pierced.
Oh,
There we go.
She's done up her whiskers very fancily and has a bit of makeup, and she just gives you this long, lazy look. Moz, with a 19, you notice something written on her sign underneath Snow's Telegraph and Mail.
Ooh, riff raff, riff raff.
I think this might be a place we can get about anything you want.
Ooh, were you able to read something? Something secret? Care to share with the class?
Why don't you follow me? Let's go take a look around.
All right.
Moz will go and, I guess, approach the cat lady.
Okay. She's just standing in the doorway. As you approach, she puts a hand on her chin and says, Hello.
Howdy.
Can I help you?
My friend here is looking to offload something. Think you can help out?
Unfortunately, I just send and receive packages. If you're looking to send it somewhere, I can. And she looks up and she sees the cart as it's getting unloaded. Cocks her head a little bit, looks over and says, "Actually, I think I ran into your friend last week."
She wants the leg.
I know somebody who's in need of a leg. That pirate who came through last week.
Oh, I hope they were nice to you.
Oh, they were very nice. Moz, you understand the actual, this is all the double speak of riffraff.
Yes.
You understand what is actually being said in this moment. Mm-hmm. She asked, "Oh, you speak riffraff?" And Bonesaw responded in riffraff with, "Yes, I speak riffraff."
Yes.
He doesn't know that's what it means, though.
Yes, I know. And she starts saying, "Yeah, so they left a package for you, and I'm sure that, it was quite a nice gift. Sent it along for them. Is there anything I can help you with?" And this is, in riffraff, her saying, "I see you're looking for something. How can I help?"
Would you like to view the merchandise? Moz will say in riffraff.
The merchandise. She looks a little bit confused. At this point, her head whips over to Moz, and you see she licks her lips just a little bit.
Don't like
and
that.
Says, "Oh, you're the smart one. Understood."
Is that in riffraff too?
That's in riffraff. This entire conversation, suddenly Moz and her are having this weird-ass conversation about, some friends that they have in common. Really weird story that happened, a week ago. It makes no sense to you, Bonesaw. You were with Moz the entire last week. Definitely wasn't in Albuquerque.
He nods along pleasantly like he's following.
She says, "No, you're looking for... you this Bonesaw fella, you're looking for Psychomancer, yeah?"
That too. You know one?
$5.
Moz will speak in English to Bones. Hand her 5.
Oh, certainly. Bonesaw pays the lady.
I think Bonesaw should just try and speak riffraff. I had some bubble gum last week.
My friends were also at the barbecue, and they had so much to eat.
Moz is going to tiptoe and try and put his hand over Bonesaw's mouth and just pat him reassuringly. That's enough now, Bones.
Bonesaw, roll a straight up and down luck check.
Okay, just a
Why
D20.
does your friend want to buy an oven-broiled tractor?
15?
15? She looks at you and says, "Did he get hit on the head? He just asked for a flame-broiled body."
I'm teaching him the ropes.
But it seemed like he was asking he wanted to be burnt by himself.
Yeah, the riffraff lessons aren't going as smoothly as one might hope.
Say no more. Sometimes people are slow.
Sometimes they're very slow.
Bonesaw nods agreeably.
She walks back behind the desk, pulls out a flyer, and passes it over to Moz and says, "Go here, ask her for the special, tell her that you need a reading. She'll understand."
Thank you kindly for your help. Bones, that's us.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime. And let me know if you need any sort of extra.
I'll keep that in mind. Now, good day.
Good day. She returns to her position of leaning, just watching Moz walk away.
So those friends you were talking about, are we going to meet them later, or...?
Moz is just gonna give Bonesaw a frankly sort of condescending look. Say, "No, I think we won't see him anytime soon, Bones. We really ought to teach you the ropes sometimes."
Oh, I'm game.
No, you don't say that in riffraff. It's highly insulting.
As you look at the portrait, it says Silver's Photography, and on it is a picture of your average-looking human man in a nice suit, large mutton chops. However, kind of behind and around him appears to be the image of a young woman with a flower crown, almost like a spirit in this photograph.
I read about these photos.
And underneath it says, "Take your life home with you. Additional services offered. Ask for the Mumbler Special." And with that, you all have arrived in Albuquerque. You have some tasks. You have to track down the friend of Sheriff Cat, Sawyer Blackjack. You have to get the payment to the courthouse without the Galloways finding out. There's a revenant in the air that might need to be dealt with. And there's lots and lots of death. Welcome to Albuquerque.
Dust and Blood is a Rolling Path production featuring Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Blake Alfson as our GM, Zach Parker as Moz Copernicus Pryor, Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, and myself, Gail Parker, as Bonesaw. Our theme song is Dust and Blood by Arne Parrott, and other music throughout this recording is provided by Kevin Macleod, Tabletop Audio, Dark Fantasy Studios, and the Desperados 3 original game soundtrack by Filippo Beck Peccoz. Transcripts, detailed sound credits, and more can be found on our website at dustandbloodpod.com. You can follow us on X and Facebook at DustAndBloodPod, or support us through our Patreon at Dust and Blood, where you can join our community Discord and get perks like our behind-the-scenes discussion show, The Roundup. We're so grateful for the support of our fans, people like Sleeve McDykel, Miss Blevins, Haas, and Highland. Dust and Blood releases monthly on the 1st, and our next episode is coming at you on July 1st. Content warnings can be found in every episode description, and we hope you enjoy exploring this fantasy western with us. Thanks for listening.
My eyes shoot open to the early morning sun. I feel that aching, pounding, poking of a bullet in my lungs. Skinny ceiling, bones crunching. I feel that wretched ancient something drag me up to face that coward son of a gun. His face grows wide as he fumbles for his holster. I feel the lead pierce my shoulder, neck, and chest. I scream that I have died 100 times and lived 1,000 years, and I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best. Yes, I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best.
Bonesaw has wings?
Yeah, I got him this level.
Okay.
Nice.
They're brand new. They're on my list of, I keep a list of like follow-ups and things to throw back to, but I also have a list of like goals for each session that I keep track of, and on my goals is like, look for an opportunity to use the wings. I thought it might not come up for a couple of sessions, but I was like,
That is hard.
You gave a perfectly horrifying description of how that came up.
Just imagine coming from the smoke, you can't see anything but blackness, and all of a sudden Bonesaw, red eyes, black wings. Moz!
I wouldn't exactly call Bonesaw my guardian angel, but a secret other thing.
And I just have to say, communal spider climb. I mean, I like D&D. I've played it all my life. But in terms of creativity of spells, I just have to give it to Pathfinder. It's just like, okay, absorb item. Okay, all right. There's just nothing like that.
So, like, do you spit it out?
yeah, you can take it out. But we've been playing Pathfinder 1E for so long, and there's always just bonkers spells that I have wanted to try, but they haven't really fit the character. And so one of the most fun things about Bonesaw is I can take wacky-ass spells. I will tell you, there's one spell that I have been wanting to use at some point. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because you'll look it up, and I want it to be a surprise. But I've been looking for an opportunity to use it since day one, and it will happen eventually. But things like Vomit Swarm and Absorbing Touch, like, they're just too fun.